You know, some books scare you because they can tell you a convincing fiction. Other books scare you because they tell you the truth. And the book we're about to talk about fits in the latter category. Welcome to Rumble Book Club. I'm your host, Mike Hernandez, and this is the show where a normal guy like me can talk about cool books he's read, old and new, good and bad. So if you like the show, you like the content, you like the books that I talk about, then subscribe right down below. Hit that little bell to let you know when the next video is coming out. And also, support the show. Be a part of the conversation. Share these videos with your friends. All right, friends, today we're going to take a look at an incredible book that is one of the few books I've read more than once because of how much I enjoyed it. Today, we're going to take a look at 1984 by George Orwell, his notorious dystopian novel, and one of the greatest pieces of classic fiction ever written. Eric Blair, whose pen name became George Orwell, wrote this book as somewhat of a premonition, painting a picture of what the future would look like with a government at war in a physical, mental, spiritual, and more importantly, a psychological way against its population. And they're winning and in a complete state of dominance over its population because the population doesn't even realize it's at war. So let's take a look at the aesthetics. This will definitely pop off the shelf. I have a paperback printing from 2017, which certainly goes for the simple but bold look with blood red, stark white numbers for 1984, and then George Orwell's name kind of hidden in subtext with this ever watchful Big Brother eye peering at you. Looking at the readability, George Orwell is very straightforward and simplistic in his writing style, which allows you to very easily focus on the story. When he does use words that are a little bit confusing or that throw you off, it's because he intentionally used made-up words that the government has created called Newspeak in 1984, and he uses it to actually draw you in more into the story, to focus on these brand new words, this new language, the fact that the government has changed the very language people are speaking in order to change the way they think. This 2017 printing has very easy to read font with very clear dark font across kind of a grayish white page, so it's easy on the eyes as well as easy on the mind. So as far as the readability goes, it gets a perfect score. 10 out of 10. Now let's look at the content. Orwell tells the story of a man named Winston Smith who's a middle-aged guy that's working in a government facility like the rest of society pretty much. This society is built off of 3 tiers. The lowest and largest proportion of the population is the serfs, the plebes, these lower class people that are not held as tightly as the rest of the members of society because they are uneducated. They are kept in a state of this under-education, and they are kept in this extreme sense of poverty where they can't even realize just how impoverished they are. And that's how this lower class is tamped under. The 2 other classes are what are called party members, members that are in full participation in the political structure of society and are held to a much higher behavioral standard by the government. There are outer party members, basic party members, almost like the middle class, that go about their daily business, go about their daily lives, but are kept at arm's length when it comes to how much trust they're given by the government. And then there is the inner party members that are able to be somewhat the shot callers in society, that high echelon people of the top 1%. Within the party, they live by 3 mantras. War is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. And above all this, there is the umbrella understanding of Big Brother is always watching. Big Brother is watching you, which Big Brother being this individual who is like God to these people of this nation. He is God within a government context who is watching everything you do, who is listening to everything you say, and is so powerful, there's the belief that he can even look into your very mind and discover what they deem thought crime. This is a society that is under complete and utter observation and subjugation. There are screens everywhere you go, microphones everywhere you go. There is nothing you can express in any way, shape, or form that cannot be uncovered by government officials and cause you to be arrested under the suspicion of thought crime and taken to what they call the Ministry of Love, which deals in extreme judicial punishment. The government in the story has become so powerful that it is even believed, and the government pronounces that they have the ability to change reality at their whim. That reality is actually subject to the whims of government. There is no such thing as objective reality in the belief of the government in this society. Winston becomes increasingly concerned by this despite living out his normal life, because there's something going on in the back of his mind that he comes to understand as memory. His memory becomes a very powerful tool that tells him that something is wrong, because your memory gives you the ability to see subjective time and reality play out over the course of your experience with the world around you. His memories of childhood and the fact that the government was saying different things when he was a child, to different things as a young adult, to different things now as a middle-aged man, he is seeing the change that the government goes through, what they say, what their standards that they claim to be held to are not being followed through, and then he sees them change the history books in real time, change the literature in real time, change the language that they use in real time. And because they keep changing all the structures and burning all the old information, burning the collective memory of society, they believe they actually have control over it. But he has within his head a memory of how things have changed, and that is giving him doubts about the government around him. And he goes through the rest of this novel on a desperate but covert search to find people that think like him, that feel in their heart and in their mind that there is a objective reality. Needless to say, this is an extremely dangerous quest for him, and there are perils involved, and he takes this quest on with the understanding that he is essentially damning himself to government torture and eventually death. It is a tragic tale. There are numerous parts of the story that are quite disturbing to read, because not only do you see this sense of dystopian nightmare, but you also see correlations with society that we look around us today, areas in which government has used forms of psychological warfare, unconstitutional observation of its citizens, non-constitutional arrests. There's all kinds of societal parallels we see around us today that correlate very strongly with the novel that Orwell wrote decades ago. The book is riveting, it is educational, it causes you to look at the world around you in a brand new way. So as far as the content goes, it gets a perfect score. 10 out of 10. I consider this book to be a strong warning from Orwell across the spectrum of every single advanced society, not just a attack against socialism, as is a kind of common belief in this book. It's actually an attack on every governmental structure, every nation, and it's telling you to open your eyes to what your government is doing, what society is doing, and asking yourself, are you within society as an individual, or are you just simply a part, a organ of this overall structure and have no individuality at all? Is reality subjective, or is reality objective? I got this book from Amazon. You can find it on Amazon too, and I guarantee you if you go to a store like Half Price Books, you can find it there as well. It is a high school reading book at a vast majority of high schools, and there's a reason for it. This book is one of the last great books that is still being read in high school. I highly advise you read it even before then in middle school. The book is 1984 by George Orwell. Go out and get yourself a copy. Thanks for watching, everybody, and go read something.